Aloha to all of our Nautilus Live viewers, if there are any, probably two. One of them is probably my mom, and the other one's probably your mom, right,
Yeah,
Jake?
yeah, probably that. Maybe my brother, if he's awake yet.
It is the wee hours of the morning here on the Nautilus off the south coast of the big island of Hawaii. And I think it is...
That's a good pronunciation.
Not so early over on the east coast where we're all from. So we are your hosts, the night shift, coming to you from the control van on board the EV Nautilus. I'm Colleen Peters.
And this is Jake Burstein.
So we just wanted to give you, if anybody is actually out there, an update on what we're doing.
Can they interact with us? Can they type in? No?
No,
they
not
can
at the
just
moment.
watch? Oh.
Now, usually we do have that capability on Nautilus Live, but on this cruise we are not configured for that because we do not have our science communication fellow. So
can we know how many people are watching?
We would have to look at the YouTube channel to find out.
And we don't get YouTube.
Yeah.
So
we're not allowed to know.
I'm just going to guess at 100,000 people watching.
Probably. Yeah. I think give or take a few.
That's a minimum.
Give or take about 99,997.
Yeah, around that, yeah.
But, yeah.
That's probably a better projection, yeah.
I think that would be great. So anyway, if you are watching, thanks for joining us. We are currently mapping off of the south coast along the western point of the big island of Hawaii, and we are mapping the area along the lava ocean entry point. So I am sure if you are tuning in to Nautilus Live, you are probably up to date, at least a little bit, with all of the happenings here on the Big Island in the last few months. The Kilauea volcano has been having a number of fissures opening up on this part of the island, dumping lots of lava into a variety of neighborhoods, which is very unfortunate. And also not only spilling into the ocean, but expanding the coastline. So the lava has covered a great number of neighborhoods, pretty much demolishing them in its path, but then has also added quite a significant amount to the coast. So we are now mapping that underwater portion just off that same coast to see what the lava flow looks like.
Right, and it's good to note that the island is very much alive. This is how the islands form, are these volcanoes depositing this lava into the ocean. It's how the island grows. It's how it's been doing this for millions of years. And it's interesting to see this in action.
Yeah.
Really, really great opportunity.
Yeah, so we are just getting to the exciting part, and we have a caller. Look at that.
All right.
Somebody is listening. That's got to be either Megan or Adam. Can you guys hear us?
Maybe it's
We have a caller.
Yeah, hey, it's Adam.
Hey, Adam, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. No, he's not on speaker. No, you have to go up front.
Who am I speaking with?
This is Colleen and my watch partner, Jake. So I spoke to you earlier when we did our test.
Yeah, absolutely. So I heard you guys start broadcasting. So I was going to call in, but I don't know that that I'm coming across on the broadcast or not.
Yeah, you are. We are listening to you on SPL, so it sounds pretty good. How are you doing, Adam? Do you have any questions for us or anything? Adam, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So we have just slowed down from our transit speed of 12 knots on the main engines. We've switched over to the jet pump so we can do these next two lines as we move further inshore at a little bit slower speed. So we're at 3 1/4 or so knots at the moment. So we'll get higher sounding density along these next two lines. So our lines have been plotted so that we're covering the data that we've already, seafloor we've already covered with data, so that the folks navigating the ship are comfortable, that we know what's below us, we know what's coming up ahead of us. So we are going to be slowly approaching this next line here as we inch closer to the coast.
Okay, and are we going in single swath for these shallower lines?
Yeah, we just switched over to single swath, figuring that with the slow speed we will get just as well high density coverage.
Perfect. All right, very exciting. It looks like the backscatter has had some variability even on the swath further out from shore.
Can you say that again?
If I heard that.
Yeah, when I was watching it, looked like the backscatter had
on
some
the
variability on the swath shore.
Yep.
That looked like kind of perhaps some plastic material coming down the slope or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds cool. We'll be looking forward to seeing what this looks like as we get a little bit closer. It was really interesting how we're just off the point right now. It's pretty rocky, lumpy, and bumpy over here, and then as we get a little bit further southwestish, it gets really smooth. So we're interested to see if we, notice any big difference in terrain as we get down to that area.
Yeah, that lumpy, bumpy area is the Puna Ridge. So it's the extension of the rift zone where the eruption happened, and so that lumpy, bumpy part is where you have kind of direct eruptions into the ocean, and this smoother part theoretically should be kind of stuff that's shed from the island as it grows outward.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, excellent.
But the flows that are happening now are happening where the smooth area.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, go ahead.
Larry, are we seeing an artifact around if I had control of Flutter
Yeah,
Mouse?
that's an artifact.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's an
Yeah.
artifact. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we missed a couple pings.
All right, Colleen and Jake, I'm gonna sign off and let you guys keep doing your thing.
Okay.
But I'll be watching, and thanks so much.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Adam. That was great. And let us know if you have any questions or need us to do anything different.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, Adam.
Bye-bye. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, Adam.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. So we know somebody out there is listening. That's great. That was Adam Sewell calling from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in Woods Hole, Massachusetts. And he is our science partner for this particular mapping survey. So just to sort of recap, the ship departed Sydney, British Columbia 2 weeks ago and conducted a transit across the Pacific to bring the ship over to Hawaii for the next couple of expeditions. And along the way, we were mapping the gaps, mapping a couple of previously undiscovered seamounts, and covered some really cool features, and you can find those on the Nautilus Live Facebook channel. There are a couple of updates from the cruise where you can see some short animations of some of the data that we have collected over the course of the cruise. You can see the difference between the sort of background data, which is collected by satellite altimetry, and this data set gives us sort of a broad look at what the seafloor features might look like, but there is nothing like getting actual soundings from sonar from any kind of vessel that will compare. So in order to conduct scientific research like ROV dives or other sensor sampling, you really have to have a much more detailed map in order to make informed decisions on where to explore. It is very labor intensive, expensive, and time-consuming to make these expeditions happen. So you really want to make sure that you're using your time as efficiently and effectively as possible. So mapping is typically the first step in the process of exploration. We get a good picture of what we're looking at, what features we're dealing with, what kinds of depths and slopes and terrain, so that scientists can pick and really target specific areas for the purpose of their research, and then carry on exploring from there. So that is part of what we're doing along this transit. It would have taken about 10 days for us to make that transit going in a straight line, but instead we added a few days so that we could cover a couple of these unexplored features, and that's just one step to further mapping the rest of the ocean. It's going to take us a long time, but we'll do it one seamount at a time. So we are going to be mapping this area for about another 26, 27 hours. We won't be here the entire time because we're going to want to be outside taking pictures at some point.
We'll be roasting marshmallows, probably.
Yeah, roasting marshmallows on the lava and other such activities. But we will be switching the watches at 8 o'clock, and you'll have a whole new group of hosts. And then we will be back again tomorrow night for the night watch.
Yeah, the next guys they're good. Not as great, but they're good.
Nobody's as good as the night watch.
Yeah,
we're a special group.
It's, but also to add to what you were saying, yeah, it's important to map these areas, specifically, mapping the gaps to look at just where we are spatially and have higher resolution maps, and it has a whole host of implications economically and scientifically to add to new studies.
Yeah.
So just to add to that importance of what we're doing.
Yeah, and often what happens is vessels like the Nautilus and a few others will map these unexplored areas, and then that allows many other groups throughout the scientific community to then take that information and make new proposals for additional exploration or investigation of that area that was generally explored. So the Nautilus will be conducting some additional mapping in these areas along the coast of Hawaii through a couple of the expeditions in the area. So we're just doing the first pass at this. And we will be also possibly mapping a little bit of Loihi Seamount for leading up to the next cruise. Might get in a few lines there towards the end of our survey, just to give them a little bit of preparation. So we will be pulling into port on Monday morning, and then the next cruise, which will be conducted at Loihi Seamount, just off the southern coast here, a little bit southwest of where we are at the moment. That will be starting up later next week, and that will be in conjunction with NASA, called Subsea. So definitely stay tuned to Nautilus Live for all of that. That's going to be pretty exciting, including a bunch of dives and on the seamount and in the surrounding area, and looking at the interactions between both inner space exploration, meaning the ocean, and outer space exploration. So how those two groups can run their operations in very similar yet somewhat different ways. So lots to stay tuned for. We'll be here for about another 27 hours. So lots of mapping time left. And in the meantime, we hope you are enjoying the view. And as the light comes out, we'll be able to show you a little bit of the coast of the island as well. So stay tuned, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.